state Supreme Court had better get ready to fight. They kicked Donald Trump off the Republican primary ballot, and the former president says he will fight back. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Colorado's highest court claims Donald Trump violated the 14th Amendment by inciting an insurrection. That decision is unprecedented, and it just so happens to fall along party lines. It's the first time Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has ever been used to disqualify a presidential candidate. Critics and legal analysts point out Trump has never been charged or convicted of anything in connection with the January 6th Capitol Hill riot. Trump's campaign with this. Democrat Party leaders are in a state of paranoia over the growing dominant lead President Trump has amassed in the polls. Backlash was fast and furious.
It is a strikingly anti-democratic holding. In my view, the court is dead wrong. This court just handed partisans on both sides the ultimate tool to try to shortcut elections. And it's very, very dangerous. I mean, this country is a powder keg, and this court is just throwing matches at it.
It is terrifying to me as an American that this kind of lawfare is being waged.
It's an effort to stop Donald Trump not at the ballot box, because right now they don't think they can beat Donald Trump at the ballot box.
I read it. It is a couple of hundred pages of hot garbage.
Whew, hot garbage. Even Trump's Republican rivals support him. Vivek Ramaswamy says he will withdraw from the Colorado primary ballot unless Trump is on it. He called on the other GOP presidential candidates still in the race to do the same. And Colorado's Republican Party responded to Ramaswamy. You won't have to, meaning he won't have to withdraw, because we will withdraw from the primary as a party and convert to a pure caucus system if this is allowed to stand. In Focus, attorney and Fox News contributor Leo Terrell. We'll begin with Mark Meredith in Ames, Iowa. January 15th is about to get here.
Harris, it sure is. The date is fast approaching, and this morning, former President Trump is getting some support from his Republican rivals. They're saying that they, too, are outraged over this decision by the Colorado Supreme Court that would essentially keep Trump's name off the ballot in 2024. Former President Trump was here in Iowa just last night. He held a rally in Waterloo. I was a little bit surprised he did not directly mention the Colorado case, but during his stump speech, as he's done at these recent rallies, he urged his supporters to see his legal matters as an attack against all Republicans.
They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way.
The Trump campaign already vowing to appeal this decision. We'll be looking to see who else maybe files an amicus brief in support. Within the last hour, though, we heard from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He is the latest among the GOP candidates to weigh in.
There was no trial on any of this. They basically just said, what, you can't be on the ballot? I mean, how does that work? What's the limiting principle for that?
I don't think Donald Trump needs to be president. I think I need to be president. I think that's good for the country. But I will beat him fair and square. We don't need to have judges making these decisions. We need voters to make these decisions.
This case, of course, will go well beyond Colorado. There are more than a dozen states also considering similar legal challenges, trying to keep Trump's name off the ballot. And Harris, just within the last few minutes, for the first time, reporters had a chance to get the White House's reaction to what has been happening. The White House was asked whether or not they think Trump should be kept off the ballot, if they think he's an insurrectionist. The White House offering a no comment right now. The president hasn't weighed in yet. This was his staff on Air Force One on his way to Wisconsin. But Harris obviously will be looking to see if the president has any specific reaction to this. But the White House right now is saying we're staying out of this.
Look,
Harris,
you're in the place in 26 days, like I started with January 15th, where we're going to see our first primary challenge, the Iowa caucus. It will be interesting to see whether or not during that caucusing people start to bring this up. We've seen the president tick up in the polls when there's been pressure on him in any way, shape, or form, you might say. Good to see you. Thank you. Leo Terrell, Fox News contributor, civil rights attorney. Leo, I want to start right there. The president staying pretty mum about this, and I know legally you love that. So what should happen next on his behalf?
Well, I'll tell you, Harris, thanks for having me on this subject. We need a profile encouragement moment from President Biden, who's a lawyer, and Kamala Harris. This is the most anti-democratic ruling. 4 Democratic judges are telling the citizens of Colorado, you cannot select the candidate of your choice. This is something that is impossible to even imagine because President Trump, at least understanding the law, is not guilty of any charge. I'm under the impression you're innocent until proven guilty. I would submit to you, Harris, and the viewers, President Trump has not been guilty or been found convicted of a federal crime, and the Supreme Court has to rule not 5-4, Harris, 9-0 to send a message to every state in this country that the Constitution prevails and President Trump is a viable candidate on the ballot.
So the argument is also that he hasn't been charged in the rioting on January 6th. So you talk about no conviction on any of the counts against him. This specifically, though, is tied to that by the state of Colorado. And we're learning more, by the way, about the 4 Democrat-appointed Colorado justices who kicked Trump off the ballot. We circled them for you, so you'll know who they are. 3 are Ivy Leaguers. One of them is something of an icon in the gay community. Another is a jazz musician. They say they had, quote, little difficulty coming to their decision. The 3 Republicans on the court all voted in favor of Trump. Is this partisan as it looks?
Yes, Harris. You know, the hardest thing for me is for people to try to assume that the legal system is working. Harris, this is all politics. It's all politics. You just laid out the background of these individuals, their party affiliation. It is silly for anyone to honestly believe that the legal system is working correctly. The legal system has been hijacked. It is a dual system of justice against President Trump. And if anyone honestly looks for a legal analysis as to the decision of yesterday by the Colorado Supreme Court, you're kidding yourself. It is pure politics, plain and simple, Harris.
Politico Playbook, speaking of politics, had this on the Colorado decision, quote, the impact on the primary seems clear enough. If anything, it will help Trump rallying his most fervent supporters and forcing even his most bitter rivals to defend him. Well, all of that is already happening. And for any doubters, Trump's poll numbers jumped by nearly 10 points after his first indictment by a Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg. His numbers held steady through the next 3 indictments and continued to grow. An average of national polling now has him at 63% in voters' choice for the Republican nomination. Now, I was just saying that at the end of Mark Meredith's great reporting, that this only potentially helps Trump, but it hurts the system.
It destroys the system. Harris, you know, there are people who dislike President Trump. But the system is being challenged. What makes us unique is our rule of law, and it's being questioned. And Trump haters are now supporting Trump on the issue that he deserves to be on the ballot. He deserves to face the voters, not 4 judges. And this is our problem right now. Our legal system is being tested. And this is why the Supreme Court has to rule 9-0, Harris. It has to rule 9-0. Those lawyers, those judges know what is right, and 9-0 is the only ruling that they could come up with.
Can other states look at this and try to do the same thing?
Right now, yes. Until the Supreme Court rule, yes. And this is what you're having. You're having 50 possible different outcomes because they don't like a particular candidate. In this situation, they don't like President Trump. Due process out the window. And Harris, you don't even need a conviction to even make such a ruling. That's what the Colorado Supreme Court has done. They have opened up a Pandora box that allows every state to make their own individual ruling in defiance of the Constitution. This is a scary day, Harris. I can't say it enough as a lawyer for 33 years who loves this country.
Really quickly, how fast can it happen that the U.S. Supreme Court would consider this?
The moment that petition is filed by President Trump to appeal this decision, the Supreme Court can work at warp speed to send a message, a ruling out immediately to make sure there's a uniform system of qualifying on the ballot. So I encourage the Supreme Court to move quickly. And I encourage Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to have a profile encouraged moment and say this is wrong.
Yeah, you calling on them with that. I can't wait to follow the news on that because that will spread. Leo Terrell, thank you for your expertise and your time, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, Harris. You do a great job. Thanks for having me.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.